All right, welcome to a special edition of the Illegal Curve, not the Illegal Curve Hockey Show, Johnny, but it's the Illegal Curve special edition of the Illegal Curve broadcast because we're talking with Jets 2017 third round pick Johnny Kovacevic, who just signed a 3-year deal with the Winnipeg Jets. Johnny, first of all, how you doing?
I'm doing well, thanks, Dave. How are you?
I'm also doing well. How's the summer back in Grimsby treating you?
It's been awesome. It's been great. Got to spend some time with family, some friends. So getting a good mix of relaxing and preparing and get my body and mind ready for the season coming up.
Well, I mean, let's look back at the season first before we start looking ahead. But what were now that you've had some time and distance between the end of that season with the Moose and obviously some games with the Jets, what have been of your kind of takeaways from the 21-22 season?
I think, yeah, as a whole, it was a very good season for me. I think I took, you know, my game to another level and continued to develop and whatnot, and definitely learned some things, whether it be from my playoff experience with the Moose or my stint with the Jets and playing my first NHL games and practicing being up with those guys. There's definitely things that I've learned and identified areas that I want to maybe work on so that next time I get that opportunity, hopefully, I can just get better and continue to improve in those situations.
Did you notice a transition from your, head coach Pascal Vincent to Mark Morrison, or you just kind of listen to Eric Dubois, the D coach, and you leave those other guys to make the big decisions?
Yeah, it was nice to have Doobie and Marty there as well, who are from the old staff, because that made it an easy transition. But also, Mo is a fantastic coach and a great guy, like an easy guy to transition to. I think we've gotten so lucky in Manitoba to have the coaching staffs that I have had over the last 3 years. And no, I found it a very smooth transition, although they are very different styles of coaches. I would say that both of them kind of worked out. And when you know everyone in the room, meaning the team plus the assistant coaches, video coaches, all the training staff, everything like that, it becomes a very easy transition, I would say.
So, I mean, this is, I believe, second year in a row you won Moose Defenseman of the Year. You hit career highs, goals, assists, games. I mean, what personally, what was it working? What was working so well for you this season?
Um, I think I kind of, as I'm getting older, one thing that's big is kind of mentally going with the ebbs and the flows of the season, knowing that it's not always going to be a 10 out of 10 game. I mean, things happen. It's always, for me, going to be a 10 out of 10 preparation and effort. But being honest with myself, knowing that maybe there are going to be, a little bit of ebbs and flows throughout the season of how you're playing and how the team's doing, and being a little more understanding of that. That's one thing that helped. And also just having, the teammates and stuff that I did made it very easy to come to the rink every day, want to work my hardest, want to do everything that I can, not for myself, but also for them, like just contribute in any way possible. And that's just like an environment that's contagious and kind of easy to do your best in, I would say.
Well, and that springboards to my next thought is that uniqueness of this group. And you kind of carried over, obviously, from the year before, and not something that continuity is not something we're used to seeing in the AHL, but your group had it. And even like the way the end of season, the 48 hours after the game 5 loss to Milwaukee, you guys were all still hanging out. I know you guys were going to someone's cottage in Ontario after the season. You were sticking together. A lot of times teams just kind of break up and do their own thing. So is that just kind of a testament to how close this group is? Just that you guys couldn't really get enough of each other and wanted to stick together?
Yeah, I think absolutely. I mean, yeah, I think we love being together. We love being on the road because you're spending all the time together. Or we love obviously playing at home. I think we had one of the best home records in the league, and just playing in front of our fans. Like, we definitely took pride in being the Manitoba Moose. Like, we had an identity, took pride in that, and we're kind of playing for something bigger than ourselves, which is special. And it's unfortunate that we couldn't, you know, go a little farther in playoffs. But I think we all learned something from that playoff series, being down 2-0, taking it to 5 games. So there's definitely a lot of lessons learned, and definitely a lot of growth throughout the season.
Well, head coach Mark Morrison always talks about like growth opportunities and learning, and that's, you can see he has a real zest for teaching, especially with the young guys. Not that he forgets about the veterans, but really focused on that, getting you guys to make that next level, that jump. And he spoke about the importance of playoffs, and he talked about, the fact that two playoff rounds are worth like a season essentially. What did you learn now that you've had time again to reflect on those 5 games, especially like you said, with your back against the wall, down 2-0, forcing a game 5? Obviously, you fell short against the Admirals, but personally, what did you learn from that series with Milwaukee and playoffs in general?
For me, I definitely, like everyone says, playoffs is another level. It's a new speed, a new commitment to the game, and it's one thing to hear that. It's another thing to experience that, and I definitely experienced that. Experience kind of how hard you have to play every game, and it's not that you don't play hard during the regular season, which is interesting. It's just like these guys just somehow find an extra gear, and one thing, another thing that was big for me, I guess, was, I mean, mistakes will happen. Like, mistakes are part of the game. In playoffs, if you make a mistake, it could end up in a goal, which seems like so monumental. It seems so huge. Um, but at the same time, you can't play afraid to make mistakes. Like, if you're going to play afraid to make mistakes, you're probably going to lose the game anyway. So you might as well go out there and play trying to make plays, leave it all out there, and then let the score take care of itself. That kind of thing. So those were kind of some key takeaways that I had from playoffs.
And really, I talked about this with Jeff Malott last week, but it's not about uh, you know maintaining that sort of focus in the regular season, because you wouldn't be able to have that intensity for the entire season. But it's the muscle memory you're building for whether it's NHL playoffs or AHL playoffs that are important for you as a young player.
Yeah, absolutely. You said, you hit the nail on the head there. Yeah, it's definitely the muscle memory that you build. It's that's why those games. I mean, I never really experienced it, but those game until last year. But the games that are like tight games going into the third period, that are like 1-1 games, 2-2 games, and then you can kind of see the intensity. Some announcers might say, "Oh, this kind of had the feel of a playoff game" or something like that, and they're not wrong. Like, those are situations where that can prepare you well for playoffs. And then, like you said, actually being in the playoffs was kind of was a great experience for me, and yeah, the intensity definitely goes up.
So you and Dylan Samberg have had spent a lot of time together, a lot of time as, obviously as teammates, but in terms specifically as a pairing. So what has worked so well? Why has the coaching staff liked you guys as a combo so much? And what have you seen, and what have you been able to complement from him and him from you?
I think, yeah, he definitely is someone who, as a player, I'll look up to, and there's a lot of things in his game that I really like that I want to try um, and bring into my game. And maybe maybe he might feel the same way as well, but we kind of push each other. It's not really like a spoken per se, but more of like an unspoken kind of understood thing where I know how good of a player he is. I trust him in all situations. We're both similar in the sense that we're defensive minded first and have some skill to help out in all three zones, really. So I guess playing similar styles, except one of us is a righty, one of us is a lefty, it kind of is an easy transition because it's not as much of a guessing game, like, oh, what is he going to do? Because there's kind of a understanding that, we that's a play that I might make just on the left side. So I'm kind
Mhm.
of more prepared for it or more ready for it. Just things like that and then after 2 years of playing with them, definitely get to, build that chemistry and that relationship. It's been awesome. I love playing with Sammy.
Well, and speaking of reflection, what about your NHL debut back on January 27th? Now that you've had some time, and obviously played a few more games after that, but have you given any more thought? Have you given any more now that you've had, again, the luxury of having some time to sit back, relax, talk about it with your family and your friends back home in Ontario?
Yeah, I definitely realized how special that was. I mean, that's something that uh, every kid dreams about. That's something I dreamed about for so long, and it's a goal I've been working towards basically my whole life. It's kind of, taken control of my life. Really, like, that's what I work towards at all times, and that's what I'm continuing to work towards. I want to be an everyday NHL player, and I want to keep pushing myself, developing, moving up the lineup or up the depth chart. It's a really good milestone, and like you said, a few months removed for it, it's something that you can look back on and think that it's very special, and kind of use it as motivation to hopefully get some more moments like that in the future.
And does the moment become almost a little bit sweeter because of the adversity you faced, as a young hockey player, cut from two OHL camps, passed over from two NHL drafts? The Jets, like I said, take you in the third round back in 2017. But I mean, that doesn't guarantee you success. And, just making it to the NHL, like you've just said, that's not enough for you. You want to be an everyday NHLer. But does it make it a more a significant moment, I guess, because of the fact that you had to deal with a lot of adversity as a young player, and you fought your way through it and you worked your way through it in order to achieve your goal?
Absolutely. I think that definitely makes it sweeter for me. And I know everyone has their own journey. Like everyone, I'm sure, has their own struggles, whether it's, a visible struggle like myself, I guess, growing up through the minor ranks, or, more of an internal one. But I'm sure everyone has, their own battles that they have to face along on the way to the top. It's not an easy league to make by any means. Some people are obviously naturally a little more skilled than others. But that's something that I take pride in, is the dedication, the hard work, and kind of taking the long road to get there. Has I wouldn't really want it any other way, because it's taught me so much in life and in hockey about improving, about self-belief, about so many different areas of life. It's been very special to me. So yeah, I'm really glad that I have hockey to be able to teach me that, and I hope that it continues to teach me lessons as I move forward.
So are you the kind of guy who keeps mementos? Do you have anything that, like, when you hit these milestones, when you hit these achievements, did you keep your first NHL Jets jersey? Like, how does that work for you? And where do they go if you do that kind of thing, where do they go?
I haven't my first NHL Jets jersey, but I think it's just folded up in my closet. So it's I maybe when I'm older, I'll put together like a man cave, and I'll have like some jerseys hung up or framed. But no, I don't really keep. I'm not like, I guess that what's the word for that? I forget. But I guess, yeah, I don't really keep those things.
Sentimental, maybe?
Sentimental, yeah, that's the word I was looking for. I'm not.
I guess.
I'm not that sentimental. It's yeah, it's interesting. It's something actually. Murat Atash, he wrote a piece, like an article on me, and
Yep.
when I
Yeah.
read that, that was I kind of read that before my last game, so before my fourth game, and that
Hmm.
one actually had me emotional, because it talked a lot about my family and their struggle as well. And that was kind of the one time where after I read that, I had some reflection, like a lot of reflection after that, and that kind of made me emotional. But besides that, no, I don't really have mementos or anything like that.
You spoke about your family, and I had the chance to meet them in passing because I was walking through the media center when they were walking in for your first game, and they were the Merrimack College was the giveaway. I think your brother was wearing it. Your sister lives in New Zealand, so she wasn't able to be there, but I know they had her on FaceTime so she could watch that. But how nice was it? I mean, I know it was kind of a weird game because if I recall correctly, it was the Canucks game, and there were only 250 fans in the building.
Hmm.
So it's kind of an unusual one, but your family essentially made up like a fraction of that audience. But from having them there, and like you said, that piece by Murat, you spoke about how much they've given you. So, and I talked about this with Jeff, like when you make it to the NHL, you don't make it because you make it by yourself. You make it because the people behind you do. Well, obviously, there's a lot of what you do is obviously that gets you there, but the people behind you and the people that help you, like your family. So having them there, having your brother there, having your sister watching, did that, like, how much more special did that make it? And was it offset a little bit by the fact that, again, it wasn't played in front of 15,000 fans, but instead 250?
Yeah, I mean, for me, the amount of fans there was not on my mind. Like you said, it's like a bit of a interesting or weird game, but at the same time, playing your first NHL game is gonna feel a little interesting and weird as it is. So
Hmm.
that didn't
Hmm.
bother me at all. Having my family there was super special, to be able to like give, I don't know, just to see them have the joy, and like have that for them to be proud of me, and be there to support me. That means everything to me. That means more than you know than the NHL in the first place, just having them.
Mhm.
So that was truly, amazing. I'm really happy they were able to be there. And it was a whirlwind of a day. Like, I had, messages from everyone back home. So yeah, the fans and stuff, that wasn't as crazy, but yeah, having my family there was something I'll never forget.
And you'd already played in front of a limited crowd, obviously, with the Moose, so it wasn't a completely foreign thing. But then your next game, your second game in the NHL, was against the Blues, if I'm right, and played in front of 19,000 fans on the road. So what was that like, playing in front of like a big building? And again, the nerves are a little bit removed, but you're still, second, only second NHL game.
Yeah, that was a really cool experience. Yeah, dude, I remember it. Yeah, sellout arena. It's a cool arena there too in St. Louis. That was really cool. I had played some preseason games in Winnipeg that were more or less sold out, that was my first experience. I never, like, Merrimack College, not a huge college. Like, I never played in front of that many people. So the preseason games in Winnipeg were amazing, and that's kind of what I drew that from. And I remember in those games that there's so many people, and I'd look around in the national anthem, think like, wow, this is insane. But then once the game starts, you're only focused inside the glass, so I'm not looking outside the glass or anything. So from that point of view, once the game started, it wasn't much different. But yeah, I remember in St. Louis, I mean, obviously when I got called up, I wasn't playing as much as I would with the Moose. So if there would be like a TV timeout and I'd been sitting on the bench for a little bit, I would like look up and be like, wow, this is like truly special. Like, I just kind of reminded myself to enjoy it a little bit, although I am, intense and, have to have my game face on. It is nice to every once in a while enjoy where you are.
Well, and you have those 4 NHL games, right? St. Louis, Philadelphia, and then back home, I think, against Minnesota. So you do have a kind of a an inventory of games that you can draw on. Really, it doesn't make you a wily vet by any stretch of the imagination. And obviously, you've played a lot of games with the Manitoba Moose. But does that remove, I think, the uncertainty of playing in the NHL? Having, I think, I don't remember the exact timeline, but I think it was roughly 10 days, 2 weeks that you were up with the Jets. So does that make it easier when you're looking ahead to next season?
I wouldn't say it makes it easier, no, but I would say that, yeah, it's really nice to be able to draw on some things, because obviously in those 4 games, there'd be good shifts, bad shifts. There'd be good, I guess, games as a whole, bad games. But every game I would learn something, or I would feel a little different going into the game or coming out of the game. So yeah, those feelings are very big to draw from, and that's like the biggest thing. It's only been 4 games, but the biggest thing was just mentally being prepared, or being present when I'm playing 10 or 11, 12 minutes, when I'm used to playing close to 20 or around there with the Moose. So staying engaged and having confidence, although it's a new team, and it's natural when you're on a new team to want to fit in and impress your teammates and all that, but at the same time you can't be giving your energy or thoughts to other people. Kind of have to focus on yourself. So there's a lot of things, like, those are some lessons, I guess, that I've learned just in those 4 games, and I would love to have many more games so I could just keep learning and improving. And I think that's why over my course of my career with the Moose so far, I have gotten better, is because I've took those lessons and utilized them in coming games after that. So yeah, it is nice to have those 4 games, but I definitely would like more, and would like to keep learning and building off those.
So what differences do you like? What are the biggest differences you noticed traveling on the road with the AHL versus the NHL?
Definitely the flights, the food. Well, no, actually the food is great in the AHL too, but definitely the flights. Instead of being on the commercial flights, you got the big private jet, and so yeah, the travel, you're truly in luxury. It makes it it makes the experience all the more, I guess, surreal or unbelievable, just because, yeah, you definitely live a luxurious lifestyle in the NHL. And that's not to say that we don't live an amazing lifestyle in the AHL as well. I love it in the AHL as well, but it's next level, I would say.
Well, speaking of next level, you signed a 3-year deal with the Winnipeg Jets about 3 weeks ago. So let's talk about that process. What was that like? How exciting was that for you to get that contract dealt with and done for the summer?
Yeah, I'm very excited about it. I've had the organization's been nothing but great to me over my last 3 years, and I think my game's been trending in the right direction. I've had all the resources that I need to develop, which is the biggest thing for me. As long as I'm in a better spot today than I was yesterday, or I'm a better player today than I was yesterday, then that's kind of my main goal. I think if I continue to do that, then I'll be in the NHL. I'll be an NHL regular player. It's just all about continuing to get better. And because of my journey, as we talked about in the past, I know that everyone has a different timeline, or has different stops along the way. But I love being a part of this organization. So being able to sign that 3-year deal was, it wasn't even on my radar too much to sign like a 3-year deal, just because usually, players my age, it's usually like more of a 1 or 2 year deal. So to be able to get that 3-year deal was great. It kind of shows me that they have, belief in me as a player and as a person. And I'm very excited for it.
And so, what was the process like for you? Is this something that you let your representation handle, or are you involved in the process?
Yeah, I'm not too involved in the process, to be honest. I have a great agent, Rich Evans, and uh, he did the negotiations. And I mean, I was in an interesting situation because very likely next offseason I would have been a Group 6 UFA.
Hmm.
Um, so I think that's why they wanted more of a longer term deal to get some UFA years. And then with it being, 2 years 2 way and the last year 1 way, it kind of shows me that they do see me. They do have me in the NHL, in their NHL plans in the future, although it might be a bit of a logjam right now. Um, I can continue to be a hardworking guy, a good part of the organization, and be patient. Like, I have no problem with that. And that's what I want to do. I want to keep working hard at it, and be, up with the Jets pretty soon.
So there's no real talk about role. There's nothing like that. Again, like I said, Rich just says, Johnny, these are the terms that they're offering. What are your thoughts? And then that kind of go from there.
Yeah, that's kind of it. At the same time, we do know that like it's a new coach, so it's more or less a fresh slate for a lot of
Hmm.
players. I do know that there is a lot of defensemen on 1-way contracts like next year, or and I know there's great prospects as well. So, but my focus isn't necessarily on them. Obviously, if I was, and players who are an unrestricted free agent can look more at depth charts and stuff like that. For me, as a draft pick, an RFA, I'm like, I feel like it's a bit of waste of energy to look at that, because at the end of the day, I'm not controlling those things. I'm happily a part of this organization, and I'm just gonna work at the hardest I can at my game, and go out there and bring my best self that I can every day. And I think if I do that, things will kind of take care of themselves. And I I feel like it's been working like that so far, and I just want to continue that way. But no, there's no necessarily like, oh, we see you as a top six, or as a AHL guy this year and then moving up next year. There's no real talk of that. It's more so,
Hmm.
you got to come to camp. It's a competitive camp, and let's see what you can do with the new coaching staff.
So I guess you probably kind of answered this, but I'll ask it anyways. Essentially, you're not going to waste the time or the energy looking at where you are on the depth chart and say, okay, well, Johnny Kovacevic fits in right here. You're going to say, I got to come to camp and I got to be in, excellent shape. I got to force the Jets to be able to not have me in the lineup, come day one against, I think, the Rangers in October. Is that kind of your mentality, as opposed to trying to figure out, okay, well, this guy's here, that guy's there?
Absolutely. I think if I come in thinking, oh, I have a spot locked up right, and I slot in right here, that's pretty, naive of me, because that spot, it's pro hockey. I mean, those spots are very fickle. Someone could outwork you, or just outplay you and take that spot in a week, So I
Hmm.
definitely don't look at it as a spot set in stone. Things change a lot. Um, so yeah, I definitely do not look at it that way. I just look at it more of, I'm spending the summer. What can I do for my body, for my, mental state, for my all this? Like, how can I just bring my best self to camp, to training camp, to show them, like you said, to give them no choice but to play me, or So that's kind of what I'm looking to do coming into camp. I'm definitely not writing out the perfect depth chart or lineup or slotting myself anywhere. I think that would be like foolish of me. I think, I'm not entitled or anything like that. I just want to go in there, work my hardest, show them what I can do, and give them, basically no choice but to play me.
And I think that's something people sometimes don't realize. Like even Eric Comrie, who we had on last summer to talk before, when he was essentially anointed as the Jets' backup goaltender, but even he said, "I don't go in there with like an uncertainty. I have to go in there and earn my spot and earn that role, even though the likelihood is he's the backup goaltender." And for you, it's obviously a little bit different because there's more defensemen, but there's that importance, right, of removing that element of uncertainty and just having the focus to focus on yourself and on your game. And one of the things I was curious about was what areas of your game do you think you've seen the most growth over the years?
Um, I think, I mean, I do definitely try to work hard at all areas of my game, and I try to
Mhm.
identify strengths and weaknesses and work, I guess, on both. Um, but I feel like last year, I definitely, well, obviously, I had good numbers offensively last year without really forcing any offense or like, I wasn't necessarily leading the rush by any means. It's more so a composed, I would say like my composure was good. Defending has been good, and that's kind of always been a staple is defending hard, using my feet, my stick, like defensive stick to defend. And what I really liked about my game last year was that I was able to produce and bring offense and be like a valuable contributor to my team in a role that is a similar role to that I would have if I were to get called up. I was more so a penalty kill guy, a 5-on-5 guy. I would play most situations, but it's not like we had Ville and Leon and Chiz to be running the power plays, and we're in a lot of offensive situations. Not that I didn't get my fair share of offensive situations, but I was kind of developing and taking advantage of a role that I could realistically see myself in at the next level. So I guess specific skills would be that I have been working on, but it's always kind of a work in progress. Is skating as a bigger guy, that's always a work in progress. Quick feet skating, that kind of thing. But noticeable difference would be kind of like composure, seeing the play, that's both defensively and with like breakouts, outlet passes. I think those skills I've really honed in on those, and those are things that I think I can be good at the next level, and then be like, a breakout guy, be a guy to make great outlet passes and defend well with my stick and body, and kind of be like a reliable staple, I guess, for them.
So, I mean, it's I think we talked about it a little bit at the exit interviews for the Moose, but like one of the advantages you guys have, and I know people see it as a problem because there's so many young, talented defensemen in the organization. But one of the benefits is you guys get to learn from each other. So, like Declan Chisholm has different skills, Billy Hainola has different skills, Dylan Samberg has different skills, Leon Gavanke has different skills. Even a veteran guy like Jimmy Olney has different skills that can translate and you can learn from. So, I mean, we talk about the AHL as a development league, but isn't there been a great opportunity for you to learn from all of their fellow prospects and to grow kind of all together? Because you guys really, like I said, and we've talked about it a lot, you guys all, even though you're all competing and you all want to make it to the next level, you are also supporting each other and trying to help each other get to that next spot.
Absolutely, I couldn't agree more, and I think so many people, I guess, from on the outside have that opinion of it being like, oh, it's a log jam. There's like so many good defensive prospects, and it's like, well, what a great situation for us to be in then. Like, sure, there's a lot of competition, but at the same time, like you said, and you can see it. I know you follow the team closely over the last few years. Although there is this competition, let's say, or a logjam, whatnot, we've all gotten so much better over the last few
Mm-hmm.
years. We're all close as friends, as teammates, and we've all pushed ourselves. I mean, and that's a testament to our own, ability uh, to kind of like to be just good teammates, but also to Doobie, our D coach. He's been great with us too. But like you said, I think it's really helped all of our games pick up little things here and there. there's some things that you notice that you're picking up from other players, because I'll maybe watch a video on another defenseman of ours and I really like what he did there, and then I drill that and I practice that and try to incorporate it in my game. But there's also things that you don't notice and you pick up subconsciously, like, oh, this guy, and I know other D, like, let's say Chiz is like, oh, I like when you turn to the left side, you always leave the puck there. Like I don't know, small details like that where we're all getting better together. It's really like a great thing to see. And I think over the last 2 years, you've I know you have seen that, but I think a lot of, fans or people in the organization have noticed that too, is that, wow, although it is this like healthy competition, everyone's kind of benefiting from it. So yeah, I do think we've all gotten better as players, and I think it's awesome, especially because of how much I like the guys as guys. It's awesome to have that competition to push each other and to develop our games.
Well, Johnny, it's not just players who are looking for that next level, that opportunity, if you will. It's also the coaches, right? And Marty Johnston is going to be jumping up to the Jets organization as an assistant coach. So, how exciting is that for you, for someone who's been with Marty for a number of years on the bench, even though he's a forwards coach? How exciting is it? How excited are you, for Marty to get that opportunity up with the Winnipeg Jets?
I'm pumped for him. I mean, I know, as someone who's been there for the last 3 years with him, I know how hard he works. I know how much he puts into this, and it's similar to play. It's exactly like players. I mean, he works so hard. He's so prepared. His attention to detail, like he finds details that are incredible. Like, he's so well prepared. He's got a really good eye for the game. I think the Jets have a home run in him, and I think I'm pumped for him too, as a person too. Like, we've just obviously developed a close relationship, being with each other the last 3 years, and I know how much he deserves it, and I also know how ready he's gonna be and how good he'll be at this. So no, I'm pumped for him, and yeah, I'm really excited to see him take advantage of it.
So, we'll end with the easy one, but what's your summer been like? Have you had done anything fun, anything exciting? Obviously, you're on the ice, you're training hard, but what have you done? Have you done anything exciting? And what does the remainder of the summer look like before you return back to Winnipeg?
Yeah, at the very beginning of summer, I went to Australia and New Zealand. So
Oh,
my sister lives in New Zealand, as we mentioned before. So yeah, she wasn't able to watch my first game. She was in on FaceTime, but I had never visited her out there. It's been over a year since she moved out there. And it was awesome to go see her. I did Australia for a bit by myself, but then spent about 2.5 weeks with my sister in New Zealand, and my brother came down too. So it was really great to have, three siblings there together. So that was definitely a highlight of my summer. I love that. And for me, that's, family will always be the most important thing to me. So that's definitely makes me feel full and rejuvenated. And that's kind of like the way I want to spend my off season, is being able to spend some quality time with family. And then since I've been back, just a lot of training, skating, just kind of the usual, having a good mix of being with friends and family, and uh, yeah, just enjoying it, really enjoying summer while it's here. But also, now that it's August, you kind of start to get that feeling again, where it's like, okay, we're gearing up now for camp, and it's an exciting time of year for sure.
and so when are you back in Winnipeg?
I'll be back. I haven't set a for sure date.
Hmm.
Camp is the 21st, so I'm thinking I'll be back like around the first or second week of September. Probably get there 10 days or so, 10 days to 2 weeks before camp to get myself
Hmm.
settled, get a few skates in with the guys, especially because I'm driving up, just to give myself some extra time to kind of shake off the car legs.
Well, Johnny, we appreciate you joining us, and our listeners and subscribers will enjoy this. And we wish you guys all the best with the rest of the summer. And we'll see you in about a month.
Yeah, thanks, Dave. I appreciate it. Looking forward to seeing you soon.
Okay. Thanks, Johnny.
Thank you.